Peacemaker is back, and Season 2 looks totally insane. But if James Gunn really wants to blow our minds, imagine a classic DC villain making their debut, a cameo from Creature Commandos, or Peacemaker actually gaining some perspective and emotional growth from his visit to this new world. So these aren't wild predictions, these are 5 bold ideas that I think could actually happen. In this video, I'll break down 5 storyline ideas that would not only make Season 2 unforgettable, but also set up the future of the entire DCU. I'm Phil from DC Chronicle, and if you're a DC fan who wants more than surface level hype, you're in the right place. Subscribe and let's dive in. So these aren't predictions about what I think will happen. These are ideas that I want to see happen. Peacemaker Season 1 was unpredictable, hilarious, and surprisingly emotional. James Gunn does have a knack for turning absurd concepts into compelling storytelling. We've seen from Season 1, Peacemaker can pull off jaw-dropping cameos, explore the deeper DC lore, as well as giving us some incredible emotional moments. Now that DC Studios is running under a unified creative vision, like we've never really seen before, the stage is set and the timing is perfect for Peacemaker Season 2 to make some bold swings. So first idea, a classic DC villain appears. Peacemaker Season 2 should introduce a serious legacy DC villain, someone fans will immediately recognize and who brings weight to the story. I'm thinking someone along the lines of Solomon Grundy, KG Beast, or Sportsmaster. Season 1's butterfly threat was wild and creative. Now we've progressed, I do want to see like an escalation. And how can we escalate things? We can bring in a named villain with decades of comic history that gives the audience some kind of built-in investment. What I'm looking for here is a villain that also grounds the story in a way that fits Peacemaker's world, so gritty, street level, covert and unpredictable and crazy. KG Beast could bring a more brutal hand-to-hand combat threat, and Sportsmaster, you know, we've already got a Judo Master. The jokes, they write themselves. He's also a great way to have some creative fights, just like we saw in his appearances in Stargirl. Solomon Grundy, I love this idea. He's a name that a lot of people know from animation and from the Arkhamverse. Again, apart from that little appearance in Stargirl, he's never had much live action exposure. I think Peacemaker's reaction to Solomon Grundy would be hilarious. They could have some great fights, and I think even at the end, I think Peacemaker would even end up really liking Solomon Grundy, for some reason, because he's a good listener maybe. We can use this villain not just as a punching bag, but a way to expand Peacemaker's kind of moral grey areas, let the audience see how this villain operates, maybe even make Peacemaker sympathise with them. At moments you can clearly see how that would work with someone like Grundy. Again, I really like that idea. And if James Gunn plays it right, this character could be set to reappear in Waller, Checkmate, or even future DCU films. Peacemaker is clearly going to play a big role in setting up the DCU going forward. I'd really like to see that work by giving us 1 or 2 classic characters and setting them up for the future. We could even, leave their fate ambiguous and leave viewers unsure of if the character even survives Season 2. Idea 2, a Suicide Squad or Creature Commandos cameo. Let's drop in a familiar face from the Suicide Squad or Creature Commandos if you think Bloodsport, Ratcatcher 2, King Shark, or even Eric Frankenstein and the Bride. Peacemaker's universe thrives on continuity. He's going to be one of those characters who threads through the DCEU all the way through the DCU, and I'd love him to bring some other characters with him. The best thing about these cameos is that they keep fans engaged across multiple projects while rewarding people like me, people like you, who've been following from the start. Plus, these characters already have a built-in chemistry with Peacemaker, whether it's antagonistic banter, reluctant team-ups, or just flat-out chaos. It's also a smart way to market like the Waller series or tease Creature Commandos Season 2 without any kind of heavy exposition. The cameo could be as simple as a brief mission crossover, or as wild as Peacemaker needing one of these characters to survive a particular situation or particular job. We know that this season is going to call back to the Suicide Squad, with Rick Flag Sr. going after Peacemaker for the death of his son, and Peacemaker still dealing with that fight that he had. Imagine Ratcatcher 2 showing up in an emotional moment, even standing up for Rick Flag Jr. Or what would really blow people's minds, imagine Joel Kinnaman himself returning, either in a vision or as part of the new world that Peacemaker goes to. Maybe he's still alive in that universe. Or imagine King Shark arriving in the most chaotic way possible. We know King Shark is going to be on the Creature Commandos team next season, so this would be a great way to further that story. While we're at it, why not give us some live action Creature Commandos? James Gunn said he wants them to move in between animation and live action. I'd love to see the Bride and Eric Frankenstein continue their saga in a way that sort of interferes with Peacemaker. That could be so funny. And again, the relationship jokes write themselves. Done right, this could be one of those moments that gets shared all over social media and becomes a real discussion point or WTF moment that blows people's minds, like the Justice League at the end of season 1. Of course, the key here is to not reveal in the trailers or any promotional material what character it is. Make it a mid-season surprise that gets everyone posting on social media. Idea 3, Peacemaker's emotional growth. So from the trailers, we know Peacemaker is in a world where everything goes his way, but the emotional gut punch is he realizes that's not his real world. You know, he's traveled to another world and he chooses to leave and come back to his world. Peacemaker's biggest growth in season 1 came from when he rejected his father's toxic influence. Season 2 can deepen that arc by forcing him to reject comfort itself, choosing a messy reality over this idealized fantasy. It's also the perfect way to explore themes of identity, belonging, and the trauma of war. This false world could be everything Peacemaker has ever wanted, but it will strip away his armor, force him to confront who he really is. Or it could just be a big test, who knows? We can structure the season so we see him almost buy into this perfect reality, maybe even initially deciding to stay before something triggers that doubt in his mind. The turning point could be as simple as seeing the 11th Street kids in danger in the real world and realizing that that's where he belongs. This could then start his realization, which could go one or two ways really. Either this new world is everything he's ever wanted, he comes to realize it's not his world and it's not meant for him, so he has to walk away. Or we could get a kind of be careful what you wish for story. Turns out everything Peacemaker thinks he wants ends up not being all it's cracked up to be. And as imperfect as it is, the real world is still the best place for him. And we could make this a real bittersweet choice for him, so show him walking away from things he's always wanted, a healthy relationship with Harcourt, approval, peace, because deep down he knows it's not real. Idea 4, a setup for Waller and Checkmate. The finale could end with Amanda Waller activating Checkmate, a shadow organization designed to control metahumans. This neatly ties Peacemaker's story into a large DCU espionage kind of web and sets up Viola Davis's Waller series, which was announced during the first Gods and Monsters reveal but has been quiet ever since. I'm hoping the reason it hasn't been spoken about too much is that doing so might have spoiled Peacemaker Season 2 to reveal any of those details. But I do hope that Waller is the next show, the next HBO Max TV project after Peacemaker. Amanda Waller, she's such a great character and Viola Davis plays her flawlessly. You'll have heard me say in previous videos, I'm hoping that Waller's corner of the DCU gets built out quite a bit more, and this can be the start of that. It also adds layers to Peacemaker's personal conflict. Is he becoming the thing that he's been fighting against? What I mean by that is, he's always wanted to be a symbol of peace, but now he's involved in a new type of war game from Amanda Waller, and he's a pawn in this game without even realizing it. We can drop hints throughout the season, mysterious Black Ops teams, strange surveillance, offhand mentions of new protocols. We do have Sacha Bordeaux in this season, who, if you've seen my breakdown video of that character, you'll know I think she could end up being a big part of this season. And if you know her comic history, you'll know her links to Checkmate. In the final minutes, you could reveal that Amanda Waller's been moving the chess pieces all season, and Peacemaker is just one pawn in a much bigger game. Then, you don't have to fully explain Checkmate in season 2 of Peacemaker. Leave enough mystery that fans have to tune into Waller to really see what's going on. Idea 5, the Huntress appears. Let's bring in Helena Bertinelli, the Huntress, to the DCU. This would set up a much rumoured Huntress TV show. A Huntress spin-off has been rumoured before. This is the perfect way to introduce the character. She's one of DC's most compelling anti-heroes, with a tragic backstory and a relentless drive for justice. Thematically, she's almost a mirror for Peacemaker, someone who's lived through trauma and channels it into violence, but still fights for something bigger than herself. You can introduce her subtly, maybe Peacemaker crosses paths with her on a mission, only to realise she's chasing a completely different target. You can end her appearance with a teaser, her saying to stay out of my way, and then she vanishes into the shadows, going on to start her own adventure that would be explored in her TV show. So the main fan cast for Huntress is Pom Clementieff, and we know she did visit the sets of Superman and Peacemaker, and she voiced one of the Superman robots. She's also cameoed in James Gunn's DC projects before, in the bar scene of the Suicide Squad, so there's a nice little pattern there that we can keep going with Peacemaker and use it as a launching pad for a new project rather than just a one-off cameo. Of course, don't announce this beforehand, let the reveal break the internet. So these aren't pipe dreams, these are logical extensions of James Gunn's style and where the DCU is headed that I would personally love to see. Season 1 shocked everyone, Season 2 could redefine superhero TV, and if you want a sneak peek at one of the confirmed new characters, click the video on screen for my breakdown of Sasha Bordeaux and why she might be the DCU's next breakout star.